Now on the subject of education, you believe that we don't have enough well-educated people, or that our sort of best educated people aren't well-educated enough?
I generally think that there's been a derogation of education in this country. I think now that, and I'm sure many of you all saw that Panorama programme that the BBC did last week. We've invented these special schools to deal with problem children where the income per pupil net is double what's being spent on a normal kid in a normal school. I don't understand the rationale of that. This, for me, is about having a standardised curriculum. And we've become very politically correct in our schools. Yes, there are problem children, but we all went to school. We all understood the discipline of school. We stepped out of line, honours, attention, held back, whatever that looked like. But we kind of learnt the difference between right and wrong. There has to be some involvement from parents in that. Absolutely right. But it's about the standardisation of education we have in the UK. I think there's far too much choice at the moment in terms of, kids get to a certain year in the schools, they're given a piece of paper, there's a list of subjects and boxes, and they can pick and choose what they want. Well, being honest, do they really know and understand the implications of what those decisions are going to be 5, 10, 15 years down the road? I advocate a very, very strong fixed curriculum through to the end of school. Yes, there should be add-on modules, IT, social studies, whatever that looks like, but I think in talking to sort of educational experts, then it would be very easy to establish a basic standardised curriculum that is set from the beginning of school to the end of school.
So you would essentially pick a set of subjects to study through until the age of 16?
Absolutely.
What would those subjects be that you wouldn't be able to?
What people generally refer to as the basics: maths, English, history, sciences. I think they're all topics that children need to certainly know about, and they can actually choose to opt out of those topics and go for media studies, IT studies, which with all due respect, aren't going to give them a groundwork to get a career. I think there has to be core topics that are there from the beginning of the school years to the end of the school years. And we need to bring back some of the basics that, I suppose, a little bit of dwelling in the past here, but, we had italic lessons in school. They taught us to write. I look at, the case of children of today, where there are certain schools now that their homework is done electronically. It's emailed to them, they can email it back. Is that learning? You look at them, even now you can actually meet some really, really bright kids, but you look at their handwriting, it's absolutely atrocious. It's all in this sort of pidgin English of text terminology where you actually need a translator to understand the text message of one of your kids are saying. This is about going back to basics.
So, reading through your manifesto, perhaps I've misinterpreted this slightly, but there's this phrase, the quality of education should be equal throughout England.
Absolutely.
So what does this mean in practical terms? That you mean that each school should be getting similar grades to the next school on average?
Yeah. Well, arguably, if there's a standardised curriculum and there's a standardised level of teaching, why not?
Would this mean that, for example, you would want to prohibit private education?
No, not at all. At the end of the day, if people have the ability and the mechanism to send their children to private school and pay for that, then so be it. But why have we not allowed the state-funded education system to look at private education and learn from that? If you look at some of the private schools, then you look at their times of lessons, their start of the day, their end of the day, their working week. It's a lot more compact. There are some examples of that locally. If you look at Western, the way that they structure their class systems, then it's very different from most other schools in the area. The benefit of that, if you look at the achievement of the students in place, then there's a significant enhancement. So there's a perfect example of something that's working. So why has it not been adopted locally in all the other schools? It's about understanding and taking what's best in education, regardless of where it is in the country, and then applying it everywhere else. I don't really see that happening.
So continuing perhaps slightly with the issue of children, and again from reading your manifesto, it does sound like you're taking quite a hard line with respect to benefits claimants, for example, child benefit claimants, and suggesting prison sentences for benefit fraud.
Well, I think what we're suggesting there is prison sentences for criminals. That's pretty sort of straightforward. If you or I as an adult decide to go and commit a crime, and we're caught, and we go through the legal system, due process, we're sentenced to prison, we've earned that.
So is this as a mandatory minimum sentence?
Honestly, I don't know. I think that's the beauty of British justice. I think each case is judged on its own merits. Can me and you sit on this couch, and actually decide a prison term for someone in that situation? No, because we don't know the circumstances. I think that is the beauty of British justice, that each case is judged on its own merits, and that's down to the judge or the magistrate who's ever hearing the case. But the reality is, it makes a bit of a cliche, but most adults can wake up in the morning and understand, are they going to play by the rules that day, or are they going to go and commit a criminal act? And it is an old cliche, I appreciate that, but it is, if you can't do the time, you don't do the crime. It's common sense. As I say, if you and I go out and commit a criminal act, then we'd expect to be punished.
So what is your party's estimate of the number of additional prison spaces that would be needed to pursue this policy?
Again, do I have a crystal ball, or does the party know? Can we determine how many people are going to wake up tomorrow morning and suddenly decide to commit a criminal act? No, we can't. What we can say in terms of the justice, or the prison service rather, is we strongly believe that prison should be prison. If you or I, again coming back to, I'm not saying you're a criminal by any means, but if you and I go out and commit a crime, we go to prison, then that experience should be that, sensible people, we have thought processes, well, this isn't for me, I don't want to go back here. But I think there is a case now where prisons maybe aren't really what they were designed. We've got situations where Scotsman's spending £30,000 a year just on mobile phones that can confiscate from prisons. Where are they getting mobile phones from? They have televisions in there. They can get degrees in prison. We've even situations now where people are suing the state for ill treatment as they perceive it for being in prison. The reality is, if you're convicted of a criminal offence, you go to prison, it should be such a shock to your system, you never ever want to be in there again. And I think that's where we miss around the rehabilitation of offenders. Because prison should be a rehabilitation process.
So it sounds like you very strongly believe that committing a crime is a rational choice that people make, weighing up the pros and cons.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, give or take a few exceptions, then we all have, absolute control of our actions. We make decisions. Yes, there are heat at the moment situations that occur, but again, I think, that's the benefit of the British legal system, that each and every case is judged on its own merits.
So, just moving on